Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's me, Jason, aka Titans Daily, and welcome back to another sports video. Today we got my first mock draft of the 2026 season. Well, 2026 off season, rather. Um, National championship for college football is next Monday. We got Miami and Indiana. I very believe that Indiana is going to win that game. Um, who knows what the score is going to be, but I feel like we'll get a Kurt Signetti smile somewhere in the fourth quarter, maybe. But anyways, if you guys are enjoying this series, hit the like button down below. I appreciate all of your support. And if you guys are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload new videos like this. And yeah, let's get this mock draft started. We got the Raiders, picking one overall. I think the best player available, best quarterback available in this draft is Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza has done incredible things. Won the Heisman with Indiana. Won the Big Ten championship. Won the Sugar Bowl. Won the Rose Bowl, or sorry, not the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl. Won the Peach Bowl, and now he just got to win the national championship. We'll know the results Monday night, but that's going to be really fun. I think going to the Raiders is going to be really good for Mendoza. The Raiders desperately need a franchise quarterback right now. They haven't had one since Derek Carr. And then even before Derek Carr, there was like Jamarcus Russell, but Jamarcus Russell was a really big bust. Hopefully the Raiders do find that quarterback, and hopefully Mendoza can, build himself up, and he is the best quarterback in this class, no doubt. Next up, we got the New York Jets picking at 2. The Jets could easily go quarterback here again. Top 2 picks being quarterbacks. It's happened in '98 with Ryan Leaf and Peyton Manning. Most recent is 2015 when the Bucks took Jameis Winston 1 overall, and the Titans took Marcus Mariota 1 and 2, and then they they played each other week 1, which has never been done before. I think I'll go with the safe pick here and pick Dante Moore for the Jets. I think the Jets need to rebuild everything. Um, you know, they really had tried to do something with Aaron Rodgers. Didn't really work out that well. Aaron Rodgers is probably retiring, after this past year. So we'll see where that goes in the coming weeks. And then new head coaching searches are still available. I might dive a little bit deeper into that after this. And I'll go over each position opening, maybe, but probably will. Actually, I'll probably spend like 5-10 minutes on the coaching carousel. I know that's a college football term, but I think Dante Moore can do a really good job. Hopefully, Garrett Wilson, stays in New York, but no promises. They also have a second first-round pick due to the Sauce Gardner trade with the Colts. Yeah, I think Dante Moore is going to be a good center stone piece, just like how Mendoza is going to be a good center stone piece for the Jets, and Mendoza for the Raiders, rather, and Dante Moore for the Jets. Cardinals, I think their biggest need right now is offensive linemen, and whether that be Spencer Fanu or Francis Mauiga. Um, um, you know, something about Spencer and Francis, like they're both really tall tackles. I mean, the first 3 tackles are really tall. Caden Proctor's 6'8", right? If this will load. Has an 85.9 grade. I know PFF is a little, Maligoa might be, might be going 3. Might be the best tackle in this draft. Played 980 snaps, protecting Carson Beck, Spencer Fanu. I'm going to go with Francis Mauigoa. It's either Mauigoa or Mauigoa. Mauigoa, probably. I'm going to take him at 3. Protecting Kyler Murray is going to be really important, or whoever their quarterback is going to be in 2026. whether that be Kyler Murray, Jacoby Brissett. I think Brissett's probably on an expiring deal as we approach the Titans pick. You guys know how excited I am with the Titans pick. I've been excited for this for a while. I think their biggest need right now is wide receiver and edge, whether that be Reuben Bain or, Keldrick Falk from Auburn. We got some really good receivers in this class, like, Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon. I think I'm going to go with the safe pick and pick Mekhi Lemon. Just because, I think Cam Ward needs a true wide receiver one, and Mekhi Lemon is that. He can play in slot, he can play outside. He has that breakaway speed, and I can imagine like the three-headed monster of Mekhi Lemon, Chimere Dike, and Alec Ayomanor, and whatever else free agent wide receivers we decide to sign, and then like just protecting Cam Ward also plays a big factor into this as well. I mean, we could trade back and go to like somewhere like the Saints where they pick at 8, but I think I'm perfectly fine with Mekhi Lemon or any of these top wide receivers in this class. The Giants, really, I expect them to go Arvell Reese. Really just boost their defense. Whether that be good or bad, they're also in the mix with John Harbaugh. I think I'm just going to include the coaches' carousel. So I think John Harbaugh's really strong case for both the Titans and Giants. But don't forget about the Falcons. The Dolphins also have a head coaching vacancy. The Browns do, the Titans, the Giants. I mean, man, it's going to be one interesting offseason, to say the least. But, yeah. Got the Cleveland Browns. Not even surprised here, going Jordan Tyson. Another really good wide receiver coming out of ASU. The only really concern about Jordan Tyson is his injury concern. Some of the things about him just really exudes upside. It's just he gets injured a lot. And, some of the, surgeries he's had over the past couple of years, really just not great, to say the least. But I think Jordan Tyson would be a great fit for Shedeur Sanders and the Browns. Next up, we got the Washington Commanders. I'm going to put Caleb Downs here. Caleb Downs, one of the best prospects in this class. I think he is the best prospect in this draft. I think his stock really is going to boost after the combine. And, I think that the Commanders do need somebody like Caleb Downs to, like, look over, their cornerback groups, because right now their cornerback groups is not great. I mean, it wasn't as good as it was, a couple of years ago with Marshawn Lattimore. They used to have Jabril Peppers at safety. I don't know if they do anymore still, but Caleb Downs, excellent coverage safety. Used to play at Alabama for Nick Saban. I think he was one of the last Saban Alabama players ever. Don't quote me on that, but I think him and Caden Proctor are two of the last Alabama players. Next up, I'm going to put Carnell Tate right here at 8 for the Saints. Another great pass catcher to match up with Chris Olave. Something about Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler. I don't know. Who knows what the Saints are going to look like next year? Year 2 of Kellen Moore. But I think Carnell Tate is a great fit. True pass catcher here. Great contested catch producer. Says projected to go 5th, 6th, or 8th to the Browns, Giants, or Chiefs. But him on the Chiefs would be insane. And then speaking of the Chiefs, they're picking right here at 9. I'm going to have to put Jeremiah Love. Kind of reminds me of Clyde Edwards-Helaire before all the injury bug issues. But Jeremiah Love is the best running back in this class, without a doubt. The Bengals, they obviously need about everything. This is where I put Spencer Fanu. You got to protect Joe Burrow. Like, he is constantly under duress every single time. I could have easily gave the Bengals Reuben Bain, right? But I think Reuben Bain's going to go to the Cowboys, and that's going to be their, Micah Parsons replacement. Well, we got the Dolphins on the clock. They don't need really quarterback. I think they need a cornerback, and I think they're going to get Jermon McCoy from the Vols. You know, projected one of the best corners before the season started. He held out the whole season. Didn't have much tape, but when he did play, he was really good in coverage, really good man corner, which is always what you want. He can play outside, he can play inside, he can play nickel, dime, he can play anything. He's like the star on the defensive side of the ball. If you don't know what that means, look it up. Cowboys, Reuben Bain. You know, Cowboys lost Micah Parsons. I mean, they do have 2 first-round picks, I believe. Yeah, so they do pick again at 20. But Reuben Bain with their first-round pick, not that bad. Next up, we got the Rams via the Falcons. I think their biggest need is going to be quarterback. But I mean, are they going to draft Ty Simpson, to replace um, Matt Stafford with, right? Or do they go corner, right? I think they're going to draft, Matt Stafford's replacement. I think this is a perfect time for Ty Simpson to have a quarterback battle with Stetson Bennett. I know Ty Simpson, got his butt beat in the Rose Bowl by Indiana, but I think Ty Simpson is a very serviceable quarterback, and I think he can learn under a year with Matt Stafford, or he could have learned under Aaron Rodgers if he decides to. Well, he's not deciding, but if the if the Steelers were ready to just keep him for an extra year, but I doubt that's going to happen. The Ravens, the Ravens are very interesting. I could go into your offensive line with Lone, or I should go KC Concepcion from Texas A&M, but I think the one name that really is going to get to me is going to be Peter Woods. And, the Ravens just missed the playoffs, fired Harbaugh. They're kind of in that rebuilding stage, but they kind of want to get a proven head coach. But at the same time, we're going to see in the coming years like how they're going to be able to rebuild after Harbaugh leaves. Lamar is approaching 29 years old, I believe. He might even be 30, but I don't know. You might have to fact check me on that. But he's in his late 20s. You're going to have to hurry up because Lamar's timetable is going to be running up soon. He's got another 5 to 6 years left, maybe, at that breakaway speed. But hopefully that isn't the case. But worst comes to worst, they stack on defense, and the Ravens will become a fringe playoff team again. Next up, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers talking about fringe playoff teams. Sonny Styles, yeah, this is really the second best linebacker in the draft. Honestly, might have a case for best, but him and Arvell Reese were 1 and 2 at Ohio State, and this pick reminds me a lot of Devin White when he played at LSU. I remember 2019, I was watching a lot of tape on Devin White. Reminded me a lot of Derek Brooks, if you know who that is. Used to play for the Bucks back in the early 2000s. Derek Brooks, Patrick Willis, Ray Lewis, all elite level linebackers. And, I think Sonny Styles can be the next Devin White. Hopefully things work out better than Derek White did, because after a couple years in Tampa, I think it was like 2022, White asked for extension and just didn't go through, right? So he asked to get traded, or he got released. I think he got released, signed with the Eagles for a year. Then he got traded to the Raiders, or he got cut. Then he signed with the Raiders. But either way, Devin White, one of the better linebacker, like true middle linebacker prospects in NFL. Anyways, I'll stop my yapping. As we pick Dante Moore, the Jets have the 16th overall pick again, courtesy of the Colts via the Sauce Gardner trade. We are going to definitely want to get that defense up from Sauce Gardner. And who we go with? We go with Avion Terrell. This is A.J. Terrell's little brother. I think it makes a lot of sense to go Terrell here. I saw a couple clips of him this past year on the practice field. Very instinctive cornerback, very smart, understands the defense, plays really good coverage. And, I think Terrell is going to be another star, just like how his brother is. Next up, we got the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions, I'm gonna give them David Bailey. I know they need to really build their offensive line after Frank Ragnow situation, but I'm gonna give them the edge from Texas Tech, David Bailey. Haven't heard too much about David Bailey, but from what I see right here, this is insane. He's got 23 hits, 43 hurries, 15 sacks. Wow, what an insane prospect right here. First look, he 6'3", 250. Really good player. Pair him with Hutchinson, and that's just a dream combo. I'm sure that the Lions would actually take a, center tackle or a guard, to help with that offensive line to protect Jared Goff in the future, but who knows. Next up, we got the Minnesota Vikings. I could really go safety here or even corner because they need help everywhere. I think that the Vikings go Mansour Delaney. A little bit of a taller corner, 6 foot. That's about average, but it's no Paulson Adebo. Paulson Adebo was 6'3", 6'4", but Delaney had a really good 2025, as shown here. 2 interceptions, allowed only 13 receptions on him. It's really good. SEC DB is going to do pretty well in Minnesota, I would hope. Next up, we got the Carolina Panthers. We're on the fringe playoff team / playoff teams traded their pick to non-playoff teams. We got the Panthers at 19. This is very much a Keldrick Falk pick right here. Help boost that defense. Dave Canales has done a really good job in his first year. I could go wide receiver here, but I think we got to take Falk at 19. Pair him up with Derek Brown and I almost said Brian Burns, but Brian Burns is on the New York Giants. 2 Auburn players, Derek Brown and Keldrick Falk. Both can play really well, and I think that's going to really help Dave Canales' defense. They probably do need another wide receiver to match up with Tedero McMillan, but I believe that the Panthers in free agency can get that. So next up, we got the Dallas Cowboys. I gave him Reuben Bain at 12. I think I'm going to give him Jonah Coleman at 20. No, kidding. Probably give him C.J. Allen. I wouldn't be opposed to that. See what they got at safeties. Safety class is not too deep as it is linebackers, wide receivers. But I'm going to give him C.J. Allen here. Really good player. Another Mike linebacker. Nothing like Leighton Vander Esch was out of Boise State. But, still a really good, on-the-ball linebacker, can really fit well in the Schottenheimer defense. I think I'm pronouncing his coach's name right. But, I think the Cowboys go defense, pick 20. Next up, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then the quarterback room just thins, This is where I'm going to have the craziest pick in the draft. You ready? Trinidad Chambliss, you are going to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. I think Trinidad Chambliss has... Chambliss. I don't know. Trinidad Chambliss has boosted his stock exponentially over the past 4 weeks. I mean, no one expected him to win against Georgia. One against Georgia, he showed that, he's got a live arm, couple things here and there that he can fix on. But I think the Steelers can easily build a good team around him. I mean, you did have Aaron Rodgers for the past year, and that is 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, not a 22-year-old Trinidad Shambles. So maybe the Steelers would be interested in, taking quarterback in round one. And, they did do this like 4 years ago with a guy named Kenny Pickett coming out of Pittsburgh. And, that didn't work out all too well, but I think they take Trinidad Shambles at 21. That might be a surpriser pick, but I think Shambles' stock has definitely risen over the past few weeks. Next up, we got the Los Angeles Chargers. Honestly, just protecting Justin Herbert at this point before he actually gets killed. I think they're going to go with, I don't even want to try to pronounce this, Olivavega loan. I'm just going to call him loan, like a bank loan. I think they're going to take bank loan at 22. Looks like a really good player, 6'4", 328. Really decent guard here. Played most of his snaps at left guard. Okay, so we got another Quentin Nelson kind of player, but he went to Notre Dame. Bank loan over here, went to Penn State. I don't know why I'm calling him bank loan, but it kind of works. Next up, we got the Eagles. The Eagles could go anywhere. I think their tight ends are really good. They got Dallas Goedert. They could match him up with Kenyon Sadiq. Protecting Hurts is another thing that they could do. I really could see them go corner and take Colton Hood, which is probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to give him Colton Hood at 23. This is probably the top 5 corner in this draft, just because he played really well in his only year at Tennessee. Not trying to be biased or anything, but I think he played really well. I also need to grab a water, so I'll be right back, and I'll talk more about this Browns pick in just a second. But yeah, Colton Hood, only year at Tennessee, really did really well. Really good corner. Only problem is if you put him outside, he might, lose a little bit of coverage, but he gains that right back with his long arms. Played really well in Tim Banks' defense, surprisingly. But, we'll see what happens. But yeah, Colton Hood, first round, not surprised. Next up, we got the Cleveland Browns. As I was just talking about, we're going to protect Shedeur Sanders and give him Caden Proctor. Caden Proctor is a really beefy, tall offensive tackle, more specifically left tackle. 6'7", 366 pounds, only 20 years old, probably going to be 21 by the time the draft starts. Really good player, has the same build as J.C. Latham, as he was coming out. And the Titans picked him at 7 in 2024. So, really good size for a tackle, but obviously the protection that Shedeur needs. And, they get that with Caden Proctor. Next up, we got the Chicago Bears, the Bears. I really see him going defensive line or safety. And, Caleb Banks definitely could be an option here. But my gut is telling me Caden McDonald. Really good player. At this point in the draft, it's like, there'll be some gems. Ooh, the Bills are going to be next. Okay. That's interesting how they projected the Bills over the Bears, considering they're both still in the playoffs. But anywho, I think the Bears actually play before the Bills on Sunday. Anyways, Caden McDonald, Bears. All right, next up we got the Buffalo Bills. Their biggest need is wide receiver, probably. Wide receiver or edge to match up with Epinesa. Cassius Howell, speaks volumes. Same thing with Denzel Boston. I'm going to give him Denzel Boston. Might not be the best player on the field, but is definitely an upgrade for Gabe Davis. Obviously they went and got Josh Palmer, but he's been injury, plagued, unfortunately. Denzel Boston's a really good slot receiver to match up with Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman. Another weapon for Josh Allen to look for. Could have easily went, Cassius Howell, but I'm going to go Cassius Howell here for the 49ers at 27. Just makes a lot of sense to me. The Texans need to protect their quarterback also. I'm not going to pick a tackle. I'm going to probably just stick to the interior offensive line. I think Emmanuel Pregnon, really good guard again. 6'5", 318. Really good. We'll pick Pregnon for the Texans. Next up, we got the LA Rams. We gave them, their quarterback, Ty Simpson. Let's give him a tackle to, hopefully protect him. So I think Caleb Lamu, he's ranked 29, going to 29. It makes a lot of sense. You could also pick Brandon, however you pronounce that. Keith Abney is really good. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to go Keith Abney. Sorry, Rams fans. I know you probably wanted something to protect quarterbacks with, but I'm sorry. Now the Patriots, I could go linebacker with Anthony Hill or Deontay Lawson, but I think protecting Drake May is obviously really important. I'm just going to select edge too, just in case. TJ Parker really comes into play. The Patriots really do need to build their pass rush. I think that's what they're going to do here. Take TJ Parker at 30. Broncos, Kenyon Sadiq really makes a lot of sense. Or they go running back with Jonah Coleman, Jadarian Price, the Robin to Jeremiah Love's Batman. Kenyon Sadiq, though, has played really well. Reuniting with Bo Nix. That's going to be really exciting, and I think the Broncos take him at 31. And to finish it off, the Seahawks, I think they could go Caleb Banks here, or they can go Romello Height. Hope he is tall. Maybe he is. Holy crap. Romello Height. What a name. I could protect Sam Darnold or whoever there, or Jalen Milroe. I think going the best corner available is good for them. I think I'm going to go Brandon Sis. Is that how you pronounce that? Or Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson was really good at San Diego State. But I think we're going to go running back here. Oh, I didn't mean to unselect running back. I think we're going to go Jonah Coleman. It's not a really good pick, though. Let's see. If we take Connor Liu, it's not good either. 58 on the big board, huh? Brandon, okay. Chris Johnson, you are a Seahawk. Analyzing the draft. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, hit that like button down below. I appreciate all of your support. This is my first round mock draft. Laugh at it all you want. That's okay. It's fine. Seriously. It's the first one. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.